Hello friends, how are you? Hope we are all good. I'm here with third part of the book New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. This time the concept I want to bring it out to all of you is the illusion of ownership. What a topic. The author says that ownership is a mental concept. It only exists in our mind. Examples: when I say that you are mine, what does that mean? Do I carry you all the time to say that you are mine? Or is it that I have a signboard on you that says that you are mine? Or is it that everything that you do will be decided by me, so I call you as mine? What is this concept of ownership? Eckhart here describes that ownership is the language of the ego. When we own things, when we own people, when we own relationships, these are the mental concepts which we strongly associate with. This is the reason why the frequency in relationships is so varied, because the sense of ownership which I attach to a relationship may be different in frequency from the sense of ownership to which the another person attaches to. A sense of ownership creates the mindset inside a person that everything related to this particular object or person is something that belongs to me and thus has to happen in my permission. Do you see the trap of ego here? This is the reason why the term called possessiveness comes into picture in many relationships. The sense of ownership is so strong in relationships that everyone thinks they own the other person. It could be a husband and wife relationship, it could be two lovers, it could be parent and child. Many times I see parents and family, they own us. And when they own us, they decide things for us. And when they decide things for us, they ensure that whatever they feel is correct, we should be doing that. And that is where the author says it's the collective ego of a family that creates a sense of ownership on their children, so that the children can act according to the collective ego of the family. I am so surprised when Eckhart Tolle expresses this simple concept that in a family dinner, the parent, like father, mother, brother, everybody sits together and talks. When they talk, the ego comes into picture and starts defining stories about the family so that a sense of ownership keeps continuing between the family members. There is a nice quotation which has been highlighted by Eckhart Tolle in this particular chapter. He says that Jesus says a beautiful line called as, "Blessed are the poor in spirit." When Jesus says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit," what does he actually mean? He is pointing out towards those people who do not have a baggage with them, a baggage of things they carry. Imagine us standing and then carrying a bag full of everything what we have in the life. Okay, if I have a bag, I'll be carrying my family, my house, car, people whom I love, and all these people, plus my mental concepts which I have created throughout my life for myself. Example, I am a great person. I'm an intelligent person. I'm a capable person. I love reading books. I am always going to do things as per my family says. I am only going to walk in this road because my friends are walking on this road. These are all the baggages which we keep carrying throughout our lives. In fact, these baggages are our possessions in life. Why does the author brings this sense of possession? Because he wants to highlight that ego derives its sense of strength from these possessions. For ego, it does not matter that what is the object through which it is deriving its sense of self. For ego, it matters that anything that the mind identifies with, it will go and take over as a sense of self. Very simple example could be when we fight with someone, okay, and we don't talk to that person. Then we feel lonely, okay? Immediately, the ego finds one more friend where this can be spoken about. So you go back to other friends and speak about, or family members and speak about this person. And now ego got a new place for itself. Did you see how it works? Like first, the ego was deriving a sense of self from one friend. Now with this friend, you are not talking for whatsoever reason. So ego wants to find where else can it go. So it goes and associates with another friend or another family member and starts talking about the previous member, so that you both can derive your sense of self by talking about the previous person. It's a very common phenomenon which happens in many of our lives. It can happen while talking about our colleagues to each other. It can happen when somebody gets promoted and you don't, so you go and speak to someone else and then derive your sense of self by talking about how this or that person has been favored on top of you, and many such cases. Isn't it true? Am I making sense here when I say that the sense of ownership is a way for the ego to establish its identity in the world? And ego keeps on going through this sense of ownership from person to person, thing to thing, relationship to relationship. It continues and the journey keeps on going. Let us say everybody in the world, everyone is having a big mansion, okay? Do you think that particular mansion will give any kind of satisfaction to the ego? It will not give. The reason being, everyone has it. When everyone has the same thing, ego does not get the sense of ownership or the sense of self. For ego, it always has to get something more than others, and that's where the ego feels superior. Friends, this is the first chapter. Now, this makes our journey to the next topic, which is called as wanting. Wanting, my friends, is the ego's way of survival in this earth. What does wanting mean? Wanting means the need for more. As I gave the example of mansion, if everyone has a mansion, the ego will want a skyscraper. If everyone has a skyscraper, the ego might actually like to stay in the sky in the helicopter and never come down. Because ego always has to prove that you are better than others. You are bigger than others. This is how the ego survives. It has a concealed deep sense of dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction with whom? Dissatisfaction with your present state of life. Simple example, You have a car, everyone has a car. The ego will say, why not buy a more costly car? One more example, you're working in an organization, drawing a good amount of salary. The ego will say, but look, your friend has become a vice president in so and so company. Why don't you try? You actually can become an MD of the company. It is always trying to defy your current moment and create a beautiful future for you. And this is the reason why ego is always associated with having things. If you see, observe yourself, many of your restless thoughts come from the concept of having things or doing things. I want to build a big house for my parents. I want to pursue this wonderful course in the US. I want to do this great book in my life and I want to become a very famous writer. Just see these statements. These statements are egoistic statements. They want you to prove to the world that you are going to become a very great author. You are going to do a very great course in your life. Discarding whatever you are doing right now. Discarding every small thing that is good in your life right now. Why does ego does that? It does that because it wants to feel special. It wants to stand out. If I have a normal car, what is it? The moment I earn and buy a Benz car, when I get down from the car, I just want to see the expression in the eyes of people. Where will I stand in their eyes? They might look at me with a lot of respect. If I am marrying somebody, I'll marry the most beautiful person on earth. When I walk with this person, everybody should look at me and say that, wow, what a lucky person this is. This search for having more and more and more things in life is ego's way of incessant, ruthless and cruel survival in the earth. Whenever you resent your present moment, just know that it is not you, it is your ego which is resenting the present moment. Whenever you discard people, friends or family, anybody in your life, just know that your ego is playing a great role in this process. For ego, there are 3 different kinds of ego you can see here. Okay, some egos, they know what they want. They know how to fulfill their path. Example, Hitler. He knew how to fulfill his path. He found out people in the country and he made them believe that his agenda of killing millions and millions of Jews is the right thing to be done by keeping them as a scapegoat for being patriotic to their country. And the Nazis' camp were set up, people were killed, and there is so many heinous activity done there. Humanity can never ever come out of the pain that Hitler has caused in the Nazi camp to the people. But look, the ego knew what has to be done. The ego found out its way how it has to be done, and the ego executed the Nazi camp. It's not a very simple thing which we are discussing. It is one of the dangerous components in our lives that exist and that kills things. It kills things, it kills relationships, it kills people, it actually kills the happiness that exists in your life. You know how much food is there in the world, how much cloth is there, how much knowledge is there, how much education is there. Don't you think everything is sufficient for all of us? Don't you think if they are all divided equally, there is no need for more? But do we stop? Do we stop by just having food, house, car? We don't. We have this incessant need of always having more than what others have, more than what people can think of, And when I become the richest person in my country, I start competing with the richest people in other countries. When I become richest person on earth, I might want to keep that identity for myself forever. This is the need of the ego, and this is the reason why I am presenting this book to all of you. Ego loves to condemn, ego loves to kill, ego loves to break everything that exists in life. No possession, no person, no place can ever satisfy our ego. It might get happy for a smaller moment of time, but it won't last forever. The moment some time passes on, the ego will start showing the picture. The ego will start telling you things which are wrong with the present person, with the present place, with the present possession, and will immediately draw a roadmap for you that if you have this person in your life in future, how beautiful your life is going to be. Or if you go to this country in future, your life is actually going to change. It could be possible that life would change, but it is not guaranteed that life will always be the same as it looks from the other side of the grass. Ego does not want you to ever sit down and realize and feel your own self, your own pure self who is happy, who is having everything that can be have. Ego is not happy about it. It will take you further and it will find out methods so that you cannot forget the needs in your mind. This is the first kind of ego. The second kind of ego is about the teenager ego. These egos of teenagers, it is an intense ego, intense restlessness. Like the ego does not know what does it want. Like teenagers, they don't know what they want. They just find some friends. If the friends are good enough, they find good company. If the friends are not good enough, then they fall into things like drugs. The reason is this, that the restlessness inside a teenager is the teenager's ego in that particular zone. And mostly, teenagers don't know what they want out of life because they have never ever been shown a picture where it is okay to want nothing out of life and still lead a happy life. And that is the reason when people reach the age of teenage, they discard everything. They discard everything that parents tell them. They discard all the do's and don'ts of the family, and they go ahead and do things with their life what they want to do. And this is where people say that teenage is the most vulnerable age of life, because at that age, the ego is in its prime. And as we go with age further and further and further, ego does keep changing its face by the age we take on. But friends, saying all that, how will this end? How will this end? Can we get rid of ego by getting rid of all our possessions? Can we get rid of ego by getting rid of things with whom we associate? By living the relationships which are causing attachment into our life? Is it possible? And let us say we get rid also. Then also ego will come into picture and will say that you are this great person who has got rid of so and so person. You are so capable in your life that you need no one to lead your life. And for some time, it will just make you feel like the king of the world who has renounced everything and now wears the crown of having renounced and become a great person on earth. My only answer to this question is, it is not possible to get rid of attachments and get rid of ego also. But it is possible to be aware that you are attached, Be aware that you are attached, and now that this thing or this person is not with you, you're feeling the sense of loss inside you, or you're feeling the sense of belongingness inside you. Just become aware of this feeling. Being aware of feelings itself is the first stage of how you are going to transform from a world filled with ego's mindset to a world filled with happiness, camaraderie, and friendship, where you are ready to let go of your ego, bend down a bit, and move your hand forward as a friendship to the entire universe. This is the 2 chapters I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so much for listening to me, and thank you so much for again coming back to my channel. I am going to further publish videos for you. Thank you so much. Hello friends, how are you? Hope you are all